is why no matter what Alex Otti does, I always write, when I write my stories, I say, all I know is that some of my ballots are in his basket.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, and that is, he knows that very well. Because there was a period that, at the time of the voting, that people actually thought that SDP did not have any more governorship candidates, and they felt, okay, let them all go to Labour Party. And I didn't really think he was a very smart man to do that, because Labour Party has the clouds of P2B for them in the whole nation. Why wasn't he contented with that? Why wasn't he satisfied to just go on with whatever good influence, good reading they were getting from Peter Obi? Why should he come and claim that I had collapsed my structures?
So you think that this is the reason why
I got down solo? Correct.
Okay. In the words of Chief Obafemi Jeremiah Oyeni Awolowo, GCFR, who was a Nigerian nationalist and statesman who played a key role in Nigeria's independence movement, he once said, "Of course, my contemporaries scorned at me, but the facts of history are irrefutable. I consider it most unfortunate that our young Turks decided to introduce the element of violent revolution into Nigerian politics, no matter how they or our general public might have been provoked by obstinate and perhaps grasping politicians. It is an unwise policy." Okay, now we'll take our next one, and this one is from Barack Obama. He was the former US president, and he once said, "You wouldn't let your grandparents pick your playlist. Why would you let them pick your representatives? Who is going to determine your future?" Absolutely spot on. My next one is from Harry Emerson Fosdick, who is an American pastor, and he once said, "Democracy is based upon the conviction there are extraordinary possibilities in ordinary people." My last quote is from George Jean Nathan, American drama critic and magazine editor. He once said, "Bad officials are elected by good citizens who don't vote." Absolutely spot on. Now let's see how these quotes relate to what we'll be discussing today. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here, the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now today, we'll turn our attention to Abia State gubernatorial elections, all that went down during the elections, and what it is at the moment, if they're doing good, or at least we should be counting the 100 days of having Alex Otti as the governor of Abia State, with all that has happened in Abia State before his assumption into office and now. So my guest on the show today is Apostle Ngozika Ogbuneke. She is SDP Governorship Candidate during the Abia gubernatorial election. And we'll be talking about Abia State, Nigeria as whole, and what are the prospects for both the state and for Nigerians. Now, we'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation with my guest, Apostle Ngozika Ogbuneke. I will see you after this time out. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now let's go straight to our conversation for today. And like I said, my guest on the show today is Apostle Dr. Ngozika Gladys Ogbuneke, who is SDP Governorship Candidate in Abia State. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so very much.
Oh, great. How have you been since after the elections?
I've been doing good. After the elections, I was very exhausted, to be frank. I was really very tired. And I needed time off to rest.
Okay.
And also to get some more sleep. because it was like every day on the go. So after the elections, I needed some sleep, and I think I'm good. I'm done for that now.
Oh, great. Okay, so now since we didn't get the opportunity to have this conversation since after the election, how exactly, give us, what exactly did we miss? What happened during the election and then post-elections? Tell us, how did it go?
I'm really very happy that I was one of the candidates in the last March 2023 elections, because for the first time in Abia State, they had a smooth electioneering period.
Okay.
There was no history of physical fighting or people carrying coffin to the market squares or using machete to fight. That was what the stories had been before.
Okay.
And I think that the CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria, they played some good roles towards that, because they had interface with a couple of us.
Okay.
And we all wanted a peaceful election. I'm sorry, I have a bit of hair fever, so it's affecting my voice.
Okay.
However, on the day of the election itself, or a week before, I wasn't very happy how a few things played out. Some parties were claiming that I had released myself and my structures to themselves, confusing people who would have had, the inclination to vote towards Social Democratic Party.
Okay, so what does releasing your party, do you mean actually fusion?
Yes.
Okay.
So they were claiming that SDP in Abia State, that the candidacy was no longer available, that I was no longer running, but that I had stepped down for them.
And that was false claims?
And that I had collapsed my structures for them. And that was not true.
Okay.
Labour Party was saying that. Mascot Uzo Kalu was also claiming that in his own party.
Labour Party is the ruling party, yeah?
Labour Party is the party that in the end was declared.
Okay.
So such a situation wasn't very clean to me, because I expected everybody to be transparent. Run your race, be on your own lane, and let us see what is the real choice or choices of the people of Abia State. But it didn't happen that way. Now, incidentally, towards the end, it was PDP and Labour Party that were now in a tussle because of two local governments, Obiomangwa and Ugunabo. Then the one of Ugunabo was settled to PDP. It remained the one of Obiomangwa.
Okay.
And by the time they finished, it was like, according to the records, that there were more people voting on the governorship than on more people registered. And then, because the House of Assembly election took place in the same place, so the discrepancy could be easily noticeable.
Okay.
So that if X number of people voted during the for the House of Assembly, State House of Assembly, how then can a lot more people vote for the governorship? So this resolved that, and it went to Dr. Alex Otti, But on the whole, I wasn't excited that Dr. Alex Otti won, because he's known my views very well. People in Abia State know that very well. I wasn't really, very appreciative of the fact that I was still running my race, and he and his party had to claim that I had stepped down and collapsed my structures.
But are you so sure he was the one that made the claim? Or?
He did. He was in the photographs. He invited some people who were in Social Democratic Party to his house. But I didn't want to go and start making case. I did report to the SDP national body. I did report to the National Secretary, Dr. Olu Ogunlaye, and also to the National Chairman, Alhaji Shehu Gaban. And I also made my case known to our then presidential candidate, Barrister Prince Adewole Adebayo. And the advice that I got from them was just to continue monitoring to know what is actually coming up, and to make a report, a formal report to INEC in Omaya, which I did. But you know what? They simply ignored it. So when you look at situations...
So who ignored? INEC?
INEC.
Okay.
So when you look at this, the people of Nigeria were trusting INEC to really deliver a fair, free, and full election. But they just cherry pick on what they want to do. So I followed their advice given to me. I submitted my complaint. And they have not even come back to me on that till date. And they went on ahead to announce that Dr. Otti was the winner. So how can Nigerians actually trust that an INEC, who is supposed to be an independent body, can actually decide for them? That is the assignment for every one of us to work on towards the next 4 years. Because if INEC was actually playing their roles, they should be in a position to have withheld announcing who was the winner in Abia State, for example, to then investigate at least what I've said to them. And if it was then for me to take it to the tribunal court, then I'll take it to the tribunal. And that is why I'm laughing at people in Labour Party, because they are there saying that the national election, the presidential, was robbed off them. And in most of my comments and talks in Abia State, I remind them that Dr. Otti also did the same thing to me. So if Labour Party was very clean, they should be clean from top to bottom. They should also be clean at the level ground. So you don't just choose to say, oh, Labour Party should be treated right at the presidential election, while the candidates of Labour Party were playing foul by all means to win an election. That is absolutely nonsense.
So I hear you say that you made some statements. Then you said that INEC decided to cherry pick.
Yes.
And then you said that the Labour Party candidate in Abia State, you accused him of that he made some rumors about your party merging with some other parties.
Merging with him.
Oh, with him.
Collapsing my structures for him.
So did you at any point also go back to him and confront him on this? Does he know about it?
I've never spoken to him one-on-one, but in the end, I got in touch with some of his aides, his publicity secretary, one Mr. Jerry Njoko, and I requested for a meeting with him on 3 different occasions, but he will not meet with me. So how can somebody I've never met, I never had a conversation with, I never told I was tired of running my race, go on ahead on the news, on the TV, on the radio, on newspapers, and on online newsline, and what do you call that, social media, to claim that the Social Democratic Party candidate had collapsed her structures for himself.
Do you have evidence of this?
Yes. I have his videos, I have the news.
You mind sharing the evidence with us?
I will. If you want me to send them to you, I'll send them to you.
Oh, please do. I know we can play it off.
Good. I'll send all those to you, even the videos in his house. And that's why I'm laughing at them, because until Nigerians learn to be honest and be sincere in every level of the way, we are all struggling to actually look for a country that we can call ours. You see, I came around into this election believing to make a difference. And I gave it my whole shot. I gave it my whole heart. And I would have been happy even if I didn't win, but let me run my race freely without such interferences from him or from Mascot Uzokalu.
Okay, so what has Mascot Uzokalu got to do with this?
Mascot Uzokalu went to Arise TV and actually told them that I have also collapsed my structures for him. I confronted the Arise TV people. I said, how could you people air such a news without even confirming it? And you know what they said to me? That any news that comes to them, that they are free to air it. I said, that is wrong. This election is highly competitive. If you get some news, you tell whoever is giving you the news, can they provide evidence? I have been having interviews with them, Arise TV. And as a matter of fact, I did an interview with them 3 weeks before that.
Okay.
And then I was asking the man, how could you say I had collapsed my structures when I actually talked on your platform 3 weeks before? And they couldn't reply. So there I am. People who wanted to vote for SDP now felt that Apostle Dr. Ngozika was no longer in the race, and some moved to Mascot Zokalo, and a greater number moved to Alex Otti. And I was just caught up with just a handful who knew I was still there. So I'm really quite disappointed, that, they are men. They should, even if they want to have a competition with me, it should be transparent. Not going to hit me on the back and to make false claims in order to get votes. That wasn't right.
Okay, so now, during the elections, on the ballot paper, I'm going to ask you two questions with regards to the accusations you made. Now, first is, during the elections, on the ballot paper, which do you have SDP, Labour Party, PDP, or at some point was it merged together? That's one on the side. And then secondly is, at what point, I'm sure you must have gone for your campaigns during the electioneering process. So at what point were you able to keep educating your supporters and your electorate that you are still with SDP and you're not merging? Because INEC always come out to say that political education has not much to do with them, but with the politicians themselves.
Correct. I'll answer your questions. On the day of the election, the polling agents have polling tags. But would you know that Labour Party actually copied SDP tags in Obingwa, in Ugunabo, in Okwa East and Okwa West, as well as in Arochukwu and Ohafia? And the real SDP members confronted some of these people to say, we are SDP, here is our polling tax. This one doesn't look real. And in Isialangwa North, the SDP polling agents who were working there were actually locked up by the police because the Labour Party went and complained against them. Meanwhile, they are the people that got fake SDP polling tax. So this is something that actually happened to me because those young people slept in the police jail, and I was now left to go and start bailing them out the next day. Meanwhile, they were the real SDP polling agents. So a lot of things happened during the time of campaigning, which was educating. I told the 17 local governments of Abia State. I had a period of time. I then went on a second round, which I was calling homecoming, just to make it, like exciting, to everywhere that I was going. And I got good encouragement because Abia State is one state that as of then was 31 years old, but had nothing to show for it. And people were saying that all these years Abia State has been governed by men. Let us give a woman a chance. And that was the pull with which people were actually coming to me. Only for them to now say that Ngozi Abia was no longer in the ticket. And people were sending messages on our Facebook asking, are you still on the race? We are being told that you've collapsed your structures to Dr. Alex Otti. Why should they say that? Why couldn't INEC even read what I have said and penalize them? If INEC was really sincere, and if INEC was an impartial observer and referee of the elections. It happened to me. I have the evidence. I sent them all the materials I had, and they kept quiet.
So at what point did you actually make, like I said, during the electioneering process or the campaigns, what point did you make that's your supporters to understand that I have not collapsed my structure? How far did you go with that? Thank you very much.
When Dr. Alex Otti and his Labour Party team started saying that, I went on air with the SDP chairman, Elder Adewole Adebayo. We went to Family Love FM and we spoke. We went to Rapid FM and we spoke. We went to Magic FM. We went and did a lot of talk shows. In Abia State, somehow NTA is not working, it's not functional. But we also sent newspapers online, social media, and I continued to talk in everywhere I was going to. But while I still continued to talk, they were still also saying that I was collapsing my structures. And they were also going to radio stations to continue to shout down that I was still collapsing my structures. That is why no matter what Alex Otti does, I always write, when I write my stories, I say, all I know is that some of my ballots are in his basket.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, and that is, he knows that very well. Because there was a period that, at the time of the voting, that people actually thought that SDP did not have any more governorship candidates, and they felt, okay, let them all go to Labour Party. And I didn't really think he was a very smart man to do that, because Labour Party has the clouds of P2B for them in the whole nation. Why wasn't he contented with that? Why wasn't he satisfied to just go on with whatever good influence, good reading they were getting from Peter Obi? Why should he come and claim that I had collapsed my structures?
So you think that this is the reason why
I got down solo? Correct.
Okay. So
I may not have been the overt winner, but I would not have done as slowly as I did. But being that as it is, I still consider myself a winner, because everybody that participated in those elections were all winners. Because it's not an easy process. It's a big exercise to have started from the beginning and finished. At least you are happy that you did yourself proud, you did your state proud, or the nation proud, wherever you ran, even to make some impact.
Even though they will tell you that in elections, you're either here or you're there, you're either a winner or you're a loser. There's no first position, second position, third position. You're either the first or the
it's
or
not
not.
True. The last election has put a lot of expectation and standard in the Nigerian citizens towards governance. People are now more woke, both at the state levels and at the national levels. Now take of Abia State. Since Alex Otti came in, people are almost on his throat, asking him to perform his manifesto. I'm a fair-minded person. I was on Flow FM yesterday, and they were asking me my overview about Alex Otti. How well has he done? I said, listen, even though he did me bad during the elections, can we give him even 6 months before judging him? Let us give him some chance to see what he can do. I said, as long as he's doing well and performing on his manifesto and doing things that are similar to what I would have done, let him continue with the job. And that was what I said.
Okay, so we're going to come back to governance now that he is the governor. But then we know that a lot of people who felt disgruntled about the elections, the past election, be it from the national level or at the state level or the National Assembly level, if they felt disgruntled, they had decided to go to court. So at any point, did you hit the court with regards to your claims?
I wanted to go to the court.
But
Social Democratic Party, the secretary, they advised me not to. My husband, Dr. John Ogbuneke, also advised me not to. Why? Because PDP and APC and Labour Party were having it rough in Abia State. Rough even till now. PDP is still not yet quietened to accept Dr. Alex Otti as the governor. So why should I go and put myself in the middle of their nonsense? And I wasn't happy that INEC did not even write me a letter to acknowledge receipt of my complaint to them. So that was why I felt that this Nigerian system is a waste of my time, saying that I'm going to court for anything.
Are you saying that the court is no longer the hope of the common man?
My father was a high court judge, a federal high court judge. Bless his memory, his lordship, Justice Jonah Johnson. I always have respect for the court and for the rule of law. But at times, when you see the returns of what is coming out in the court these days, then you might as well just leave things as they are. There's no point.
So you're confirming, is that your affirmation that the court is not the final arbiter?
No, the court should be the final arbiter, even to the common man. But it's not always the case in Nigeria. If I was in another country where things are done properly, I called up the INEC people I sent my message to, and they just said to me that the swearing-in ceremony will go ahead. Why should it be like that? Why shouldn't they even look at what Dr. Otti did? I had the videos. Why should he invite people of SDP to his house when he knew that SDP has filed a governorship candidate? So a lot of things went wrong. Okay, during this, about the last 8 weeks, there's this story about a case in Kano State that brought up an issue that almost every candidate of Labour Party should be disqualified because they did not register or submit their registration on time. I follow these things and I'm amused by it. So why did INEC even allow them to go through the electioning process when they knew that they did not submit their things on time? Because I knew in SDP, we went through all this clearing, all this questioning, all the checking, and then they felt they were satisfied for you to be their candidate and submitted to INEC. Even at the time of campaigning, if Dr. Otti did not submit his papers and was not registered 30 days before that time, whatever is the time frame, he should be disqualified. Yeah.
Before we go on this break, now, when you started, I hear you say that before now in Abia State, it's what you found now is different from what happened during the election, because you said they usually carry machetes and then coffins to the market. What exactly does carrying coffins to the market, what does it signify? They
just tell people that if you don't vote in who they want you to vote in, that the person will be the next in the coffin.
Oh, really?
And people were either scared to stay away from elections, or people were frightened out of the marketplaces not to be around, and then they could have the chance to rig. But rigging wasn't the problem, so to speak, in this election, because of the way it was conducted.
Oh, so you were saying that throughout it was not rigging that was the issue?
No.
How about security?
Security was good. People moved about freely, and on the day of the election, people obeyed the rules not to move around until much later on in the evening.
Okay.
And I could speak and say that confidently almost in every place in Abia State. I did not get any news about any security scars or breaches or anything. So that was satisfactory.
So how about ballot snatching and all of that we see in some other states?
No.
Oh, great.
I didn't see that. I didn't hear that. The only thing, like I told you, were fake polling agents by Labour Party copying the polling tags of SDP and giving it to people. Then when the voters come in, they tell them, we are wearing SDP polling tags, but that the national body has decided that we're all going to vote Labour. And that was what happened.
Let's go on a quick break right now, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation with Apostle Dr. Ngozi Ogbuneke. I will see you after this time out. Join us again.
With what Nnamdi Kano is telling his supporters, not to be aggressive, to avoid violence, and to cancel the sit-at-home order. Monday last week, yes, I flew into Owerri, and through Aba, I moved around to wherever I wanted to go to, on Hafia and the rest of it. People were freely moving about.
Okay.
I hope they continue that way, because losing one day every week is actually,
especially Mondays.
Exactly, it's actually a lot. 4 days in a month, 48 days in a year, and then you continue multiplying it like that. And because of sit at home, Tuesday mornings are a rush, so you're not actually losing one day, you're losing 1 day and a half, because Tuesdays, before you move from A to B, it's a lot of delay. We should come out from that. And I'm pleading with every member of IPOB, wherever they are, if they get to listen to my voice or to this videotape, and also to those who are supporting them in any way, there are better ways of our fighting for our rights rather than opting for violence. And if Nnamdi Kano says he is non-violent, let us give his movement a chance for a peaceful way of actually resolving situations.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. So if you just joined us, you've actually missed out on the first leg of the conversation. Now we'll move straight to a second segment of the show. But we still have Apostle Dr. Ngozika Ogbuneke, who is SDP Governorship Candidate in Abia State. All right, before we went on that break, you've actually talked about the breaches you have in that during that election. Now I'm going to ask you, now that new governor is sworn in, governance has started, no more politics or politicking, it's now governance and administration. So I see from the presidential elections, you have the president come out to extend the olive branch to people who he feels or they feel they are disgruntled, and then he told them to come along. It's a long train. You're free to hop in, and let's just work for the benefit of Nigerians. Did you at any point have these discussions with the present governor of the state, or are you still at this stage of I feel cheated and he has to apologize or something has to give?
No, I've moved on from any stage of feeling cheated. I'm kind of at the level of observership.
Okay.
Yeah. If Alex Otti is given the chance to govern, let him govern. There should be a lot less criticisms at this early stage. He has not done 100 days in office. Then we'll see, because Abia State was in a big mess. Even in cleanliness, I was asked a couple of times, if you won the election, what would be the first thing you do? I said, I have to clean the refuse dumps in Aba and Omaya. And when he got in, that was the first thing he did. It's a terrible situation. So, and then you start tackling ghost workers, doing verification to know how many people really are civil servants, and then to make sure that those salaries or salary arrears are sorted out, and pensions. So he is doing some homework there. Let him get on with it. I am no longer getting into being cheated or something. If I wanted to really fight, my husband knows me. A few people know me too. Yes, I would have really gone to court and all those things. But I was just so disappointed that even INEC was not even faced that a candidate would be saying that I had collapsed my structures and invited my party people to his own office. And I have the videos and showed them, and they did nothing. So I left it.
But if he invited your party people to his office or to his abode, to his house, and then they
were talking about me. They were talking about giving him my votes.
Don't you think they went because they wanted to go?
No, it's not me who had to decide for them. If they are SDP members and they want to decamp from SDP, it's their choice. Everybody has a right for political association.
Yes.
Let them decamp and be Labour Party. But not for them to decamp and go and promise him. They called it cashing out. Cashing out my votes to Labour Party, yet they are SDP members. That was wrong.
But that's not his fault.
No. It's part of his fault.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was at a situation also that some parties came to me and asked me to work with them so that they can give me votes of somebody else and cash out onto me. I did a strong electioning campaigning. I didn't stop at anything. And I said to them, if you are asking for the votes of XYZ to come to me, it will only be if I go and have a chat with the person and that person accepts to merge with me. And that took them away. So what is wrong with Alex Otti? Doesn't he have any integrity himself? Doesn't he have any respect to himself? So why should he absorb people who are coming by the backside to steal my votes for him? That's not transparent. That's not honest. Even if he was sitting here, I'll tell him the same thing to his face. But now that he is the governor, let him do the work. If he's doing a good work, I'll clap for him. But if he's doing a bad work, I'll speak truth to power. And I'll call his attention to go and do the job and do it well, because that was what I was coming to do, and he chose to mess up my votes. I'll tell him that.
So since that was what you were coming to do, serve the people of Abia State, and now he's there doing, what if he calls you to come into the camp and serve? Would you go into that camp to serve?
Knowing Alex Otti is not going to call me, because
you cannot be so sure.
No. Alex Otti, I'm not very sure that he will want somebody like me who is deadly, starkly honest, and who is focused to work with him.
Are you accusing him of dishonesty?
No. I'm saying that I'm not sure. You know, I don't like psychophancy, number one. I don't like coming to rob anybody to just make the person give me favors. I don't do that. I just like straightforward and focused work. Remember, I'm a surgeon, and that character of just going straight to where the problem is and solving it and taking it away, that's how I'm wired. You understand? Abia State, they need a firm hand to get a few things right. Alex Otti is doing the best he can. I wish him well. If he changes his mind and decides to invite me, yes, I'll straighten with him where he wants me to work and what I could do. And then there will be a clear instructions of really what I'm supposed to do without interferences. And I know I will deliver, because Abia State is still my fatherland. It is not yet right. A lot of things are wrong there. It needs a lot of input, dedicated input, to turn Abia State people towards appreciating the dividends of democracy. And dividends of democracy is not sharing money. It is bringing governance to the roots levels. And for everybody in the grassroots to know that there is a government they can trust, and a government that looks out for them.
All right, so we've seen previous achievements that he has gone through, bringing in investors and investment, and then you talked about cleaning up the mess, the waste in Abia State, and then we've seen some other things that he's trying to do with regards to, like I said, bringing in foreign direct investment, and then taking away ghost workers and all of that. How far would you actually, even though you say it's too early to rate, but if you have to still judge from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, what is your take?
I'll give him 5.5.
5.5 seems fair.
Yeah, because there's still a lot more to do. He got this engineering company, I've forgotten their names, to come and start building roads. When we have a lot of Abia State civil engineers who are not employed, I wasn't going to use all these so-named foreign engineering companies, construction companies, to build any road in Abia State. It's expensive. Abia State doesn't have the money.
But well, don't you think because of, for the sake of competence, you want to be sure of what you're doing? No. I'm going to use the example of what we have somewhere in Gwagwalada. There's this particular
Julius Berger.
I don't want to mention any name. Not even Julius Berger. Some other company. It's actually based in Abuja here. And then when you see the roads that they are building, they've been maintaining that road. In fact, constructing that road actually for over 3 years, just not up to a 3-kilometer road, and they're indigenous companies. So some people will just say, isn't it better to just concession it, give it out, than giving it to the indigenous people who will mess it up?
Medical doctors are being turned out from Nigerian universities. I trained at Nsukka College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And a lot of us practice in Nigeria and practice outside Nigeria. And we're all doing well. So why should our civil engineers who have gone to all these same universities not be doing well? Many civil engineers or electrical engineers or whatever engineers, mechanical, when they come out, they just end up being businessmen. Why are they not being given the chance to practice what they have learned? It is not a good thought to say that our engineers are not doing well. Some of these so-called foreign engineers, please forgive me, they are actually like middle-level laborers in construction companies from foreign places that come here to work. And I know that. So Alex Otti should please make a chance to employ the civil engineers, the mechanical engineers, and bring back the old style PWD, Public Workers Departments, where we have people that their purposes are highway maintenances. They look after the road, they fix the road, they build up the road, and they are employed by the government. That is even how it's done in the UK. Nobody's contracting any job to any person to build any road anywhere. It's not going to happen. They work as maintenance of the road. At times, road that you think are really good, they'll scrape it and rebuild it and make it good. And they are the ordinary laborers and construction workers. We should give our civil engineers the chance to really work.
So aside from the civil engineers giving it out to foreigners, but then he still came out to say that in other ways he's still going to patronize local instead of going taking it's foreign. He still talked about the dressings, and then I read somewhere where he stated that gave the reason why he might not be using innocent motors, and then why he'll be using other ones. So I think for some people, they will say, please, cut him some slack.
I'm not judging Alex Otti for now. I told you, I'm giving him 6 months.
Okay.
Because that is a fair time for somebody to settle in their job. There's an Igbo adage, when translated, that says, when the chicken goes to a new place, it stands only with one leg until it is familiar with their surrounding. So it's not right that within 3-4 months, you are just judging him. I wouldn't do that. I'll give him the chance to work the job. Campaigning, like you said, has finished. This is now carrying out his policies and getting us to know what are the procedures that he has laid down in his government. All
right, now let's talk about security or insecurity, especially in the southeast. Monday sit at home, the Nnamdi Kano's case, the Simon Ekpa from Finland issue, and all of that. Let's really talk about that. What is happening, especially in the southeastern part of the country generally, and then Abia State particularly?
In all honesty, Abia State is fairly stable. Dr. Alex Otti, on his resumption of duty, did request and make a note that all the arborers, the unemployed youths in the motor parks, that they cease from being there. But I do not know where he has placed them. I would not have done it that way. Part of my manifesto in dealing with that problem was to get those youths registered. You know, we all have NIN numbers, so you can actually track people and then offer them a period of government job, low-grade jobs, and pay them subsistence. Not just like in UK or other foreign countries where they pay what is called job seekers allowance.
Okay.
He simply made the decision and gave the order. The young men are not in the car park, but where are they? However, I've moved around Abia State freely in this my last visit. I've not heard any news of, insecurity.
Okay.
I've not heard any news like kidnapping. I haven't heard. If it happened somewhere else, I don't know.
And you move around freely without convoys, without security?
No.
Okay.
And come to issue about Nnamdi Kano, I would like Nigerians, not just Southeasterners, to really be more objective in that case. If we are respecting the courts and the law courts, since the court has acquitted him and said he should be released, let him be released. But he must have learned some lessons, not to talk about any government the way he did. Yes, I'm Igbo. There were a few things he said I didn't agree. There was a lot of things he said that were happening in Igbo land, which I agree with, but which I do not put specifically onto the federal government of Nigeria. I did a lot of interviews during my campaigning, and I told you, and I said, that Igbo or Southeast have not had caring governors. And because they did not do what they're supposed to do, they always level the blame on the federal government of Nigeria. The Southerners are feeling that they are being neglected. Because I schooled in Boko, and I know how the roads were. And I've traveled to other parts of northern Nigeria. So if the southern governors use the monies they were given, at least some of those youths will feel the impact that the federal government was also looking after them.
But then some of them would always blame it on the center and then tell you that they are just CSOs on paper, that's chief security officers of their states, just on paper, but not in reality.
But I know I did my part, and I'll still continue to do my part. But coming to Simon Ekpa, because people have spoken a lot against this Monday sit at home that is backfiring on the financial and economic progress of these states, and that people are using it as an excuse to hurt other people or for vendetta, and then destroy lives, waste lives. So he's now coming around to be in tune with what Nnamdi Kano is telling his supporters, not to be aggressive, to avoid violence, and to cancel the sit-at-home order. Monday last week, yes, I flew into Owerri, and through what's it called, Aba, I moved around to wherever I wanted to go to, or Hafia and the rest of it. People were freely moving about.
Okay.
I hope they continue that way, because losing one day every week is actually,
especially Mondays.
Exactly. It's actually a lot. 4 days in a month, 48 days in a year, and then you continue multiplying it like that. And because of sit at home, Tuesday mornings are a rush. So you're not actually losing one day, you're losing 1 day and a half. Because Tuesdays, before you move from A to B, it's a lot of delay. We should come out from that. And I'm pleading with every member of IPOB, wherever they are, if they get to listen to my voice or to this videotape, and also to those who are supporting them in any way, there are better ways of our fighting for our rights rather than opting for violence. And if Nnamdi Kano says he is not violent, let us give his movement a chance for a peaceful way of actually resolving situations. I talked about Northern Ireland and how Sinn Féin, they were fighting all the years between them and United Kingdom and wasting life until there was the Good Friday Agreement. And then they now started to be political. So let them come into politics, argue their points, and give a chance to actually win votes and fix Southeast Nigeria better than how all these other well-quoted politicians are doing. Then things will be better for everybody.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Nigeria generally. We have a new president. We still talk about fuel subsidy removal. We still talk about rising inflation, rising food prices, insecurity. They listed quite a number of things, of hydra-headed challenges. So how would you actually rate his few days in office?
Like I said to you about Otti, that it's too early to judge somebody. Yes, somehow it is a bit too early as well to judge President Tinubu. But there is one thing he did which I felt it was too early how he did it. The removal of the fuel subsidy.
Okay.
If he felt that removing the subsidy was the decision best suited for the country, fine. But he could have done it over a period of 6 months. Graduated removal, graduated increases, and people will not feel it, and there will not be economic stagnation, because at some point transportation was also stagnant, and people were not just moving anywhere. Then the common people, the commoners, mean the common masses, were the people suffering, as if it was still that period of money scarcity when they were trying to change the currency
the
and all
cash
those.
swap or
Thank
cash
you.
redesign.
Thank you. That was not fair. Let us think about the sheep if we are the shepherd. Let us think about how things are happening with the ordinary man if we are in government. Now, he has removed the subsidy and now giving palliation.
Palliatives.
Yes, I call it palliation.
Oh.
I purposely call it palliation.
Okay.
Because palliative care is a different thing in medicine. You know, people that have cancer and you give them palliative care. So I don't want to use those words. So he's bringing palliation to the state governors and to the states by giving them some money in order to alleviate the effects of this subsidy. He should have done that before removing it. You see, if you are planning to bring something that is harsh, you prepare the people for it. You give them something.
But we've been talking about fuel subsidy removal all along.
No. Fuel subsidy removal is a good thing if Nigeria is going to make use of the money that should arise from that. That is fine. And it will also curtail a lot of excesses that are being lost. That is fine. I have nothing against it, because when I calculate the cost of fuel here and change it to what it is in the UK, it is comparable. So when people complain, I tell them we pay equally as much. But the difference is the situation of food chain and supply, access to food chain, access to health care, good roads, good water supply, electricity. They are all different. So that is why the pain is hard. Because people need petrol for their generators. People do not even enjoy that there's a government. They have their borehole. They have their security. They have their electricity supply. Every individual is now having an autonomy to provide everything for themselves in Nigeria. But what I was getting at is, in sharing this palliation money, like in Abia State, they went and used the political parties. Why should you?
Okay, so I was actually going to ask.
Somebody could be, because they asked me the same question yesterday in Flow FM, and I said to them, the best people you could have used in order to ensure that this subsidy or this palliation from subsidy reached to the grassroots were the royal fathers. Because if you use the churches, not everybody in Nigeria is a Christian. If you use the mosque, not every Nigeria is a Muslim. But everyone comes from one single local government area. And the royal fathers, they have their council, they have the women leaders, they have the men leaders, and then they know the clans, then the communities and the villages. And they could identify those in the communities, in the villages, means they said, who have need for these things.
So are you saying that the 5 billion naira given to states, you did not see anything done in Abia State?
Nothing. Please, nothing. Nobody among the market women have received anything. Yet it has been shared.
Oh, wow.
I know I wasn't coming here, pardon me, to talk about my foundation. But somebody like me, I've been doing things in my own little way with Sanctuary Hand of Grace, Shock Foundation. Then after this election, because they call me Ngozi Abia, I now upgraded it and called it as Sanctuary Hand of Grace Ngozi Abia Foundation. And I go to the communities. I did all that. I went to the prisons in Aba, in Omahia. I went to what's it called, communities, and had town hall meetings and also talked to them. Nobody has received any of this money. During the elections, I didn't share bags of food. But now that the election is over, I gave what I could give.
All right. So even as we begin to wind down, are we going to see Apostle Dr. Ngozika Gladys Ogbuneke on the ballot come 2027 or maybe 2031? What next for you?
I'm not sure.
Oh, you're done with politics?
I'm not sure. It depends on what happens in the years.
Oh, that looks like a political answer though.
No, it depends, because I was really disappointed about how INEC acted. I was disappointed about what they call cashing out. And you come to spend a lot of money, then towards the end, I don't know how to describe it. somebody will receive chicken feed compared with the amount of money you spent, and then they sell your votes. So until something is done about that, I'm not sure.
We hope that something is done about that very soon, because that's even the more reason why a lot of people just want to walk away from politics. But like they say, if politics is a dirty game, we need someone to come wash it up and clean it all up. Thank you so much, Dr. Ngozika, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
All right, viewers, that's where we end our conversation for today. We have been chatting with Apostle Dr. Ngozika Gladys Ogbuneke, who is SDP Governorship Candidate in Abia State. And it's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. Keep watching The Conversation, because you never know who my next guest will be and what my next topic will be all about. Till I come your way again, to everyone who is here, to all my cast, we say thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful time. My name is Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours. God bless Nigeria.